There we go. Hi.
Hi, Carla. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Quilting Unscripted. I'm Carla Alexiak of Quilting by the River.
And I'm Lynn Wheatley from Lynn Wheatley Design.
And we're doing our monthly casual chat about all things quilting.
Yeah.
So it's been a busy 4 weeks again.
Yes. We keep saying we'll get into a lull. But it was just a little bit different busy this time for us. And now we're in midsummer where it's really hot, humid, and not very motivating, actually. But we're here to chat about and tell you all about what we've been up to and some fun things coming up. I've been on the long arm trying to catch up with some of my customers' quilts. I've had a bunch of administrative work to do to wrap up the first half of the year. Many of you might have seen the newsletter. I put a giving thanks newsletter out last week, finally. And I just wanted to share all the wonderful people and classes I had and venues I was at over the last 6 months. It's been a kind of a whirlwind tour. So I was kind of happy I got that out and got to, just to let you see that stuff, because a lot of people don't get to see that.
Yeah. But isn't it funny, Lynn, how I know you and I ended up in the same boat with regards to the newsletter, because I didn't put one out January, February, March, and it's on your list. And it's like, oh, I just can't, I don't have time. And it goes away. And then you get into that cycle where you may think about it at 3 o'clock in the morning. And by the time you wake up, it's another day, another pile, and it whoosh, goes away. And then all of a sudden, I don't know about you, but I get so guilt ridden.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh my God, I haven't done, like, oh, I really need to do this. And the more you think about it, the more anxiety it makes. And then it's harder to even sit down and write anything, because now the backlog of information is so overwhelming that you don't even know where to start.
And we make lists. I make lists. I know Carla does too. We make a list. Maybe it'll be Sunday night, or it'll be first thing Monday morning, and we'll look at the list for the week. And then all of a sudden it's Tuesday afternoon and you have checked off 3 things out of 30 things that are on a list. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I know.
We do our best, and we fight the fires that are most urgent, that have the biggest deadlines of impacting our clients and things we've committed to. And people just have to be patient. We all have to remember that this is quilting. We're not saving lives. We're quilters. So anyway, I particularly thank you for the patience as I go through periods of time where I try and focus down in. I'm in one of those times right now. I'm working on publishing my block of the month. It's behind me here, and I really just need to focus and not answer the email or not answer the call for a few days at a time, because the head's got to get down into something you write like that and stay there. But yeah.
So my newsletter, I think I just did an introductory. I'm back up. Yeah. I'm back up. New platform, doesn't affect anybody other than for, it just will automatically come into your box. But it's that, okay, we have to start somewhere. So in the next week or so, I'm hopefully, now that things have quieted down here a little bit for me, going to put out what I like to call a montage, a photo array of the classes that I've done in the last little while, and anybody who sent me quilt pictures and things that are going on that way. So that will be hitting your email box just for you to peruse. And, the nice thing for me is I always ask my students, if you've done a quilt or a pattern, and even if it's not totally finished and it might be a while and you want to send me a picture, and I like to share it, because hey, up in Northern Ontario, our geographical distances are so extreme that it's not like you can run to the local quilt shop and see your buddy from Timmins. Like, they're just 3-4 hours away for us. So that's sort of like something that I like to keep everybody up here a little bit close, so that we sort of have this little quilt show every time I put out a newsletter. And highlight somebody's quilt and stuff. So yeah, in the same boat for sure. Long arming?
So I had a wonderful surprise. I got to go to my local guild again this month, and the guest speaker was a colleague of mine that I didn't appreciate the schedule when they published it in the beginning of the year, but it was Kathy Belts. Okay, and she came and talked to us about, the secrets from the judge's chamber. She's a AQS certified judge, and she talked all about a lot of things. And so it was really nice to catch up with Kathy and to learn some things that I've only had a few quilts judged at that level, and she's been having quilts judged for years. And that's sort of how she helped educate herself to be a judge, was to put a lot of pieces in and try and learn the process from the quilter's perspective to use it as a judge from the other side. So that was like a surprise that happened a couple weeks ago. So
you walk in there. There's always somebody and it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
So that was a happy little reunion that we had on another one of these hot, muggy nights, and there was no AC there. So it was a little drippy. I'll say it was drippy, but it was a really good night.
I dripped in the river this afternoon. We just got back from Saskatoon. My husband has what I would call an enormous family in North Battleford. His mom was one of, 9, 10, one of those big farm families. So there were 5 generations represented in the reunion. So if anybody out there is watching from Saskatoon and the family reunion, hello, thank you. We had a lovely time. Yes, there were pierogies. Yes, there were cabbage rolls. Yes, there was accordion polka music. The Finn girl sort of slid right in there. But yeah, we had a good time.
Doreen's on, one of our favorite supporters here. Doreen, she's a local girl here in the Valley. She's in our guild, so she's on. Hi, Doreen. Thanks for joining
us. So you mentioned long arming. I was long arming the day before we left, because you do get these calls. Can you do it? Can you do it? And they're customers of yours, and you feel it, so you say yes, and you know what? It was big. So for those of you who don't know the sequence, when you hand drive a long arm, you more or less can control the speed that you go, and I pretty much can hand drive pretty quickly. But when you throw that computer on there, it has a set speed. So each row took 40 minutes. And it was that long and that big and dense of a pattern that I ran out of bobbin thread, with maybe 2.5 feet left before. So every row had a new bobbin change. And it was like the quilt that never ended. It really did. I would do like 4 hours or something and then just shut it off and go away, do something else. I did get in the process. So this is one of the advantages. Right now, it's the only advantage I can think of, but is that it does quilt while you can do something else.
Right.
So I just submitted my Island Batik quilt. So it is, and should have been received today according to the tracking number, in California for photographing for the catalog. But as of last week, it needed binding, and I hand stitch the important quilts. And so while the machine was going, I was at the table stitching away, doing the hand stitched on the back of the binding and the label, and got her done in the mail before we left for Saskatoon. So that was good, off the list. Yep. And what happens next, Lynn? Now I get to write the pattern.
Yeah. So that's the next piece of that puzzle. Is you design a quilt, they choose it, you make it, it's beautiful, it goes off, they have it for a few months, it comes back. When it comes back and the catalog releases, the pattern has to be ready for purchase. So we always get caught in this catch-22 thing about being relieved that one part of the process is over and having to dive right into the next part.
It's almost like sometimes when I look at my quilts and I go, oh, one more left, and then I'm free. And I no sooner think those thoughts when somebody pops by and says, I have 3 quilts. Can you do 3 quilts? And it's like, it's the revolving door of, done, behind.
Yeah. But it does make us tick. I mean, if I didn't have activities and opportunities in this arena, I would not be as happy as I am. Yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of anxiousness, but all in all, I love doing this stuff. So
we just like being busy.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So your block of the month is almost ready to kick out. And then and then you're going to need, it goes to editing.
Yeah. So my block of the month is about ready to go into the proofreading stage. And this block of the month behind me is going to be printed in color. So there was a little bit more work for me to do up front to actually convert myself into getting all of the illustrations done. Some of them done with the fabric, the digital fabric, and then some of them done with what is a rendering of that so that it could be used as you construct the units. So anyway, there's a little more work there, but I think it's really well worth it. I'm really liking what it's looking like. And so it's headed by the end of the week, probably into the proofreaders' hands. And then it will go to the people who are going to do more of the technical work. They'll test the unit, they'll test the blocks, they'll do the math. But we'll go through and make sure that the pattern and the package itself is complete with all its contents, table of contents, it flows right, it looks good. And then I'll have a couple of people who are shop owners review it, because I've done a little bit of a different approach with this, but I think it might be well received. So that's also going to happen close to the end of this week. I'm going to have these conversations with people and see what they think as it goes into this kind of like all over proofreading. So I'm kind of excited about it.
So the comments, people out there, quilters, that I'm personally looking for is Lynn being a friend. I really like her block of the month, and I'm thinking about teaching it. And because I'm where I am and those geographical distances, I'm sort of contemplating doing, one of those unscripted YouTube, let's make Lynn's quilt. Because I do not want to spend, again, this is a time thing, editing video. That's not how it's going to happen. I'm going to sew it with you guys, the block, and hopefully we won't make too many mistakes. Yeah, but anyway, so throw me a comment. Let me know if that's, because if I don't have a lot of interest, we'll just reassess. But I'm looking for your, hey, I think I'd like to do that. So you can throw that into the
so there's been a lot of interest. I was out teaching today. I got home at 5:30, just enough to kind of like wind down from the hot day. And there was a lot of interest for this block of the month. So this will get picked up.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I guess I'll spill the beans. I have a little bit extra little oomph in my step these days because when I opened the catalog that released about a week ago, they featured it on the back cover. So it's not the front cover, but it's the back cover. They always put a quilt on the back cover and the front cover, and this quilt is on the back cover of that catalog. So I'm feeling kind of a little bit proud about that. I hate to brag, but
as you're proud.
Yeah, it's a beautiful quilt. The fabric is really, really quite beautiful. I'm pretty sure the local shop here in our valley is going to carry it. I'm sure that Amy's Quilt Room, I think Deb Calente from Quilters Obsession is going to carry it. So, and as soon as we get all that sort of information together, it'll be live here as well as in my newsletter and on my website. So kind of excited about that.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and
so You were talking to me a couple weeks ago about this new class thing that you've been doing with the stripology ruler. Now you have one, I have one. I mean, I cut quilts now for years, and about 2 years ago, um, you know, again, you find it, somebody says something, you investigate it, you buy it, and it is marvelous. I have the extra large one, but I think the smaller one is in my future. But since you've been talking about it, I've, picked up the odd book, because there are a series of books out there. And this is the funny moment of the evening. So everybody get ready for it. Okay? Hang on. So when we were in Saskatoon, I managed to squeak a little bit of time, and I hit a quilt shop in Saskatoon, Periwinkle Quilting. They are on 2600 8th Street East in Saskatoon. Hi, ladies. Had a lovely visit. Anyway, picked up the book. It's called Mixology. It's quilts that you can make with the stripology ruler. But, okay, so this is just so funny. You flip through the book, and then every once in a while, there's a beverage recipe. And it just so happens that we were going through this. There is a strawberry banana daiquiri right across from the Katrina, who is one of our best friends, pattern. So, I mean, it just had to come home with me, because it was just too much of a coincidence to have all those fun things. So if you can't sell the book because of the quilts, they're picking it up for the recipes.
Yeah.
I like
You've done a really good job at mixing the stripology, that technology, with mixology, which is mixing colors, mixing shapes, making the quilt with the beverage. So that book's kind of cool in that sense. Yeah. So, and people who know my background know that for me, it's important to understand why somebody designed something the way they did, why it works the way it does, what little tips and tricks you can give the quilter who is not a ruler geek, because people who aren't ruler geeks have a really hard time digesting anything with a lot of lines. It just doesn't. So so we had a stripology class today, which basically went through the history of stripology and how she designed the rulers and why she did them the way she did, and all the basic things on how to use the ruler, how to prep your fabric, how to cut correctly. And then we did it with the extra large, which was the first one. And she actually retooled the extra large stripology ruler in 2019.
Oh, good. I have a new one.
Yeah, to be the slot is longer, because what's happened is our width of fabric has gotten wider. So when you go and fold that in fourths, the original stripology ruler was not quite long enough. It was just shy of some of the things that she does with it. So she retooled it in 2019 and put a couple extra inches on the ends. So anyway, we went over all of those things, and then we used the stripology to cut diamonds, triangles, using 60 degree, 45 degrees. And then we made blocks. All the blocks had diagonal cuts and stuff, and getting them familiar with what's important when you're actually dicing up a partially pieced block and then starting to put it back together, and then maybe dicing it up again. So it was a really good class, because they really got familiar with the tool itself.
Yeah. Which is the goal. It's not about the project in a lot of these classes. It's about the process, so that you can take what you learn and apply it to all the other things. Yes, it's a wonderful tool, and I'm sure you and I will be giving a couple of hours on our stripology rulers as the cruise quilt comes.
That's right. It is absolutely phenomenal at just dicing up fabric, but it also can be used for some other things that some people maybe don't understand until they kind of sit down with nothing, no real goal. Like, I got to get this quilt done. I got to pick a project. I got to get it done for something. kid's graduation, wedding, whatever. But just to learn, what can I do with this? And just have a nice afternoon of playing around.
Yes. And we have to give ourselves nice afternoons of playing, because we don't, as quilters, we're always, even if you're quilting for yourself, you're always, that end goal is always there. So to take a break and I love to give permission to use up fabric and just play. And if it doesn't turn out, it's fine. It's fine. The learning curve was there.
Yeah.
The learning curve was there. I have one more thing. Speaking of time, doing things for myself. When I was in said quilt store in Saskatoon, my granddaughter was with, my eldest daughter and granddaughter came. And of course, don't let a 5-year-old in a quilt store. For those of you who've never had that opportunity, it's like your best friend and she's convincing you to buy the bolt of fabric. Anyway, she comes up to me with a pattern and says, "Yaya, can you make this for me?" I mean, he's really cute. I've never made stuffed animals. So wish me luck. Stay tuned. Can't guarantee it's going to be done anytime soon. The goal is Christmas.
There you go.
Give yourself.
Well, one of those rainy fall days when you got nothing better to do, you can make a test piece.
I'll phone you. The day I have nothing better to do, I'm going to phone you.
Phone's never going to ring. The phone is never going to ring.
Oh, dear. So you've been doing classes. I've been finishing up quilts. I finished up my fundamentals class, and I had wanted to show everybody tonight, but I can't get it to load. Lynn and I are so good at all this technology stuff, but it will be in my newsletter in the next week or so. One of the students, Mary Ellen, took the blocks from the fundamental course that I've been teaching since February or March, and played around and made blocks and has produced a sampler quilt to showcase all the different units and how she was able to turn them into blocks. And I am just so over the moon about her picture that she sent me. So thank you, Mary Ellen, for the picture. And thank you for going that extra mile and doing the making the quilt into a sampler, because they were just bits and pieces and units. And, we played around and put units together and so perfect. It's what was supposed to happen in that particular session. So nothing new on your design wall?
Well, I've been asked to make a special piece, but I can't really talk about that. But I do have another baby quilt, been commissioned to make another special baby quilt for a medical department at UVM. And so I'm working on that. I selected some fabrics and we'll be piecing that soon. And that's always fun because I just get to they give me a little bit of a colorway and I get to do what I want and they love them. So it's a nice small project that, I can just relax and do.
Yeah.
And pretty much there's a couple of things on the design wall for next year. And of course, the next round of Island Batik, before you know it, the next set of fabric's going to be in our inbox and we're going to be called for doing another design. And so
it's back here. It's mulling. It's mulling. If you ever look at me and my hair moves, that's that quilt design up there starting to, I hear you.
So fall's pretty busy with, my fall teaching schedule is now pretty full. I've booked a bunch of local time and then on the road. I'll be in Lancaster AQS in September, but I also am doing a little bit more local work this fall so that I can be a little closer to home. We got a couple of things that are going on in the fall here. My daughter's going to have surgery and not be able to walk on a foot or drive a car for 4 weeks. So there'll be a little bit more support.
Mama to the rescue.
With the kids they live in the next town. So, so we're going to spend a little bit more time, a little closer to home after the end of September. I'm not scheduling anything other than probably a vacation in November and then a vacation in January. So yeah, Doreen, we'll do that stripology class again. So don't you worry. I'll keep you abreast of that. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of. I had 2 students that have used the stripology ruler quite a bit, and they were amazed at what they didn't know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's because until you get around people that are inquisitive about it, or just need to know why.
Yeah.
They won't rest until they do. So anyway, we'll do that again soon here in the fall.
I started a couple months ago my love affair with stained glass quilts. And then of course it gets, because it's, it is a class that I want to teach, but it gets bumped aside when the priorities make it go away. But that's on the, on the table. The bits and pieces are laid out. I love, I taught back in the late 90s, early 2000s, almost every technique for stained glass. So that would be the reverse stained glass and the turned. And my favorite, though, because it's sort of a cheater method, is the bias tape. You purchase the bias tape as the leading, and you fuse everything down and you top stitch over top. Beautiful, fun stuff to do. There's a little bit hard to find, though, the stained glass pattern. So yeah. I still keep looking. I do. What else is on the list here?
Wow. So, the cruise, we got to talk about the cruise.
Yes, we do.
So, we have, our cruise is being sponsored by a Janome dealer, bringing in all that equipment for that classroom. And so we have kind of a quota to meet a number of students. So we're, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 students probably shy of that quota. And so that deadline is coming up in August, mid-August. We have a deadline to meet that quota. So if you are at all on the fence, we'd love to have you join us. So reach out to Carla or I if you have any questions. You want to have that casual chat, because it's going to come down to the fact that are we going to be able to keep the Janome sponsor? If we can't keep the Janome sponsor, then it's a completely different ball game. And so that's really where the anchor is right now.
I have to tell you that just before I left, as a matter of fact, they left the morning that I left for the airport. I had, of course, you probably all know, I have a loft, a little retreat space across the driveway that the quilters come to every once in a while for some R&R and some time to quilt together. And it just so happens that in the loft were 4 ladies that had signed up for the cruise that I was supposed to do in 2001, which got canceled because of COVID. And I had shipped them the quilt kit, and they've hung on to it. And they were supposed to come last fall. Problems arose and they didn't make it. So they were here the other weekend with their 2 buddies that are actually from the Sudbury area. And these 2 ladies are from Michigan. So there was 2 from Michigan and 2 from Southern Ontario. And a big shout out to Donna and Kathy and Monique and Deb. It was so nice to have you guys there. But Kathy did not sign up to go on the cruise because she was going to go and do something, or just coming back 2 weeks ahead or whatever. Well, it wasn't long that peer pressure changed her mind, and she's coming along on the cruise. Now, for those of you in Ontario or Canada that are sitting on the fence, we have a pretty good number of Canadians coming along. We'll be in touch with everybody prior to probably starting early in January, letting you know, or probably later in the fall, if this all works out, with regards to what hotel Lynn and I are staying in, when we're going to fly in, blah, blah, blah. So, and I think we're thinking about doing a Facebook group and a couple of Zooms.
Yeah. So I think that Michelle, the cruise director, sent out, I think last week, an email to everybody who is registered with some information about some of the hotel options, and some other information. The information on the cruise will come more steadily now that we're getting a little bit closer, because then she'll come out as soon as they turn the excursions on. You'll look at that stuff, and then finally the flights. So if you want help with her, she can do some recommendations on the flights. We're a little bit outside of that window, but it won't be long before we get into that window in the fall, in the early to mid fall. So anyway,
as she says that, it won't be long. My anxiety level goes like this.
You're all right.
The cruise quilt still looks like this. Yeah, we're just I quilt much better under pressure.
And what's the problem? So the way I look at it, Carla, is Island Boutique gives us 6 to 7 weeks gives us a package of fabric like that. It needs to have something like this in California. So piece of cake.
Easy peasy.
So, we just heads down and get her done.
What does my granddaughter say? Yeah, you're magic.
You are. You're absolutely magic, Carla.
God, I hope I'm magic.
So that's the skinny with the cruise. We're really, really excited about this adventure, and so really would love to have you join us.
Yeah, if you've got friends, and I know that there's a lot of cruisers out there who just love to cruise. I had a phone call the other day from a lady, and she works to cruise, and she couldn't believe that there was actually her 2 favorite things, quilting and cruising, on the same trip. So that's the fun thing. And if you've never been, I've tried really hard, but I still have never been on a cruise. So you're not alone. We will muddle through that together. We've got Lynn. She's been on a cruise before, and a few of the other ladies. So yeah lots of help, but definitely I'm getting super pumped. By the way, summer sales are starting, Lynn, and it's time to go shopping for the cruise wear, because it's going to be even more expensive in April. So I'm going shopping, and we might have to have a matching outfit or 2.
Yeah, Carla's the fashion director for our trip. So I've decided that I delegated that to her. She sort of volunteered. So
we're wearing this. She goes,
so I'm just going along for the cruise. I'm just going to cruise through it.
It's going to be a hoot.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. And the camaraderie amongst the quilters will be just phenomenal. The people you meet and things you do and laughs.
Well, like this group of 4, they met actually because mine got canceled. They subsequently took another cruise in September with our friend Debbie Calente, and became best friends. And now they're like visiting back and forth all the time and coming on another cruise. So you meet people and have this bond, and you just become friends. It's the coolest ever.
Yep.
The loft, as I mentioned, it's picked up. It's been busy. Summer's here. Driving is nicer. My fall is fairly booked. I still have openings, but weekends are going quickly. So if your group is thinking about coming to visit me and staying in the loft and enjoying the sights and sounds of the French River area while you're quilting or knitting or crocheting or whatever crafty artistic thing that you do, give me a shout. It's all up on
Mixology.
Pardon?
Mixology.
Mixology. Yes. On a whole different level.
On a whole different level. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I've got a little question for you. Totally quilting related. So as I was up in the loft, and I was watching them press, nobody was putting water in the irons, which was fine. And I just happened to say, not using steam. And the question was, I never use steam. I was told I'm not supposed to use steam. So I was saving my question for tonight because I steam. I love my steam. it sort of is that, we often think that the fabric is smarter than we are. And if you still think fabric's smarter than you are, apply steam.
Yeah. So I also am a steamer. I have a iron pressing station that delivers the water right to pipes it right into the iron. And I got to tell you, that was a game changer for me. It was like when I got my FAF Icon machine, my piecing increased my productivity about 40%. This iron has increased my pressing capacity the same way. Backings for long arms, doing the big quilt tops, or even just the piecing. You get that shot of steam. There's 400 little tiny holes in the bottom of this iron.
Yeah.
And steam is important. Yes, you do have to test your fabric to make sure it will take it. But steam can really be a friend when you're a quilter. So
people often say, why are your blocks so flat? Because if you're not using steam, you don't get those seams to just smack down and stay there. I mean, put the clapper aside. Even if you're not putting a clapper on top of a pieced block and you're applying steam, it will still be flatter than no steam at all.
Right.
So again, that's just our personal experience. I promote steam in my classrooms. So if you're not trying steam, give it a shot.
Yeah. Nice.
I know. See, I practice.
Sound effects and everything. Yeah. So still working on updating my website. I don't know. I tend to like to go teach people like today more than I like to do the more administrative side of it. I know it's important. And
it's almost like a daily chore for us because now at the very beginning of my website has the next live date on it. So, and then we both have the newsletter. So if you are a new subscriber to the newsletter, I no longer use steam. Hi, Shirley. Shirley's coming on the cruise, by the way. Yay, go girl. Instead, I dilute best press that I put on the seam with the special applicator.
Yeah, same. So there you go. You're creating the same situation, a moisture, starchy type thing with the heat. Yeah. And that's the point, is that the starch, the liquid, and the heat are together. The heat dries that liquid out and helps you keep a crease. So So that is the other way you can provide the same thing. I know there are some people who live in areas where water in the irons are a problem. And in that case, like I carry water in one of those Mr. bottles as well as best press in one of them. And so therefore, if we have an iron that can't take water or it leaks or whatever, but the iron, the hot part of it is still good, you can still get the same effect.
Yeah.
Good point, Shirley. Thanks for bringing that up.
What were we talking about?
Oh, Doreen had another comment about some quilters do claim that the steam will shrink their fabric. So that's where the testing comes in. Sometimes white on whites are very finicky with steam, and you just want to, and it's usually you would have trouble if the weight or the actual thread thickness in your fabrics are different, that you might get a little bit of a different effect. But also remember, it's a quilt. You're going to end up stitching it together. You're then going to end up having somebody quilt it. You're then going to wash it, and you're going to give it to someone who's going to puke on it, and they're going to wash it again millions of times. It's going to get that character of a handmade item.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it is true. That's why I say I always test fabrics. If I'm nervous about this, I test the steam on a piece of fabric before I say, okay, this fabric is safe. And then once I use that brand of fabric or that piece off the bolt, then I know I'm okay.
Yeah. I love my steam.
Yeah. So next up in the classroom for me is in August, I'm doing color, and then I'm doing a basic bindings class. So we're going to go over just the basic fundamentals of doing the traditional sewn on the front, mitered corners, hand stitched, 2 different hand stitches, and then a couple of different machine stitched ones. And then we will also do what a lot of people are now making, miniatures, and we're going to do that 1/8 inch binding. And it's a breeze making that 1/8 inch binding, because I was taught by someone who's very good at it, and her name is Katrina. So I had a great teacher, and I thank her for that. So we'll be doing bindings both here in the Upper Valley where I live, and then on the other side of Vermont, we'll be doing the same set of classes there in August. So, but where we, Carl and I, will be together in August. You won't see us on the split screen in August. We'll actually be sitting side by side. So I'm going to head up to Ontario and spend a few days with Carla and our friend Katrina, and do some more sort of collaborating on a couple of things.
It's, it's always surprising when you get a group of quilters together, whether there's 2 people, 3 people, 5 people. There's always something you learn. Like we learned the miniature binding from Katrina. Over the years, we've done Appliquick. I taught everybody Appliquick, introduction to the Appliquick tools. So you've got now a background knowledge of that particular thing. Right. So, and we're in a classroom, and our students are constantly, they're either asking questions that we go and research, or don't know the answers to. So now you've expanded our knowledge base. Or they actually come up with, different strategies and ways to do things that, you go, yep, that one might be a little bit more fun to do than the way I do it. So, right. Yeah, it's all about the getting together and sharing what you know and moving on. Now,
so one of the things we were going to talk about is a technical topic, and we've talked about a lot of things already, is we as pattern writers, I think, are always kind of conscious of yardage. You're writing this pattern, you got to use a certain amount of yardage. You only have how much over yardage should a pattern designer put in the published quilt? So, for instance, you have fabric number 1, you need to have a 6-inch width of fabric, a 4-inch width of fabric, and a 2-inch width of fabric. Okay, so that's 12 inches off of the width off the bolt. So that's absolutely, you need squared up 12 inches to create this quilt. So do you put another 4 inches, which is the middle cut, added to that just in case you make a mistake? Or do you add 6 inches, which is your largest cut? Or do you not add, because everybody always overbuys?
So in my particular instance, I put not, because I'm from Canada and we sew in inches and we measure in quarter inches, but we buy our fabric in meters. How to make your brain hurt. So, and shops are reluctant. Shops aren't going to sell you 0.3 of a meter. Or if you're needing, you're always finding that magic number that goes between both. Because a lot of it, you think about going to order and you walk up and you go, I need, 16 inches of fabric. They're not going to sell you 16 inches. They're going to sell you whatever is the next logic, the measurement up from that. Yeah. And a lot of shops are turning into selling only half.
Yeah, in the quarter yard. So, hi, Jean. Thanks for commenting about, yes, you need to add extra. Okay, so here's another thing to think about, and that is that you write a pattern and you publish. Okay, let's take a recipe. A pattern's a recipe. The recipe says 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Well, you buy salt by 16 ounces. Okay, so if you already have salt, you don't need to go buy it. So if you already have fabric and you're trying to sew out of your stash, how much extra is reasonable for us to put in the pattern. For me, I think the extra should cover an error, one cut error, cutting a mistake, but you should be able to take that amount, go into your stash. If you only have 23 inches of fabric and I've published that you need 21, or you need, I don't know, a half a yard or whatever, you can use that piece. Whereas if I make it the next quarter yard up, you're going to say, I can't use that piece. So I struggle with this because I tend to go into that stash in the other room and try and use what's there. So what do? I put enough extra in so that there's enough if you make a miscut. But if you shop, or you are nervous, or you like to buy a little extra because you know your habits, then you just add that extra as well. But I give you enough for the one miscut, or the one or a couple of miscuts on your units.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I usually go like this.
Yeah.
Where how many? What's the closest one to this? Depending on if we're talking borders, you're gonna end up with a little bit more and that's the other thing that I want to bring up is Lynn does borders different than I do.
Yeah.
Lynn cuts borders.
Yeah. So I cut it lengthwise. Okay. Because I cut the borders. When I design a quilt that has a traditional border on it, like Ellie's Blooms, I bind the quilt with the same fabric. Okay. So
she cuts her borders along the selvage.
Right.
So
lengthwise.
the longest strip is 70 inches. She's buying 70 inches. Whereas, yes, I've done it.
Well, I use it all because it's designed into the quilt, 4 borders plus the binding strips. Usually you use about 36 inches of the 40 usable inches in width of fabric. So that's why I do it, because usually when there's a traditional border, you're using that up. Ellie's Blooms, those borders are cut at 6.5.
Yeah.
And then there's 5 binding strips.
Yeah. But for me, I usually have you cut selvage to selvage, so the 40-inch wide, and join them together. So you also have to remember, are you joining them on the straight, or are you joining them on a mitered border? So you're losing that amount of fabric. So you compensate. Our job is so hard.
Yeah, that's why I just went to lengthwise borders and made sure I used the rest of that fabric somehow so that you were left with very little fabric left. Okay. Yeah. And the lengthwise cut is a few inches, 2 inches longer than a 70-inch border. Yeah. So if the quilt is designed at 70, I'm going to tell you, you got to buy 2 yards of fabric to cover those borders and then add that in. And that way, it's 4 cuts, you're done.
Yeah.
4 strips of seams in your binding. You can absolutely guarantee you'll never hit the corner on your binding strip because they're the same length as the binding. So you offset it at the borders, you offset it and you go around and you hit the middle again and you go around and you hit in the middle again. So there's a couple different benefits from that. Anyway, but we do it differently, and everybody, every pattern designer does it.
Well, and what I want to say is read the pattern. There's a reason why. Take just if you're buying the pattern and the fabric at the same time in the quilt shop, just open it up. Take that couple of minutes to go, how is she doing this? Blah, blah, blah. The other stumbling block is with the fabric selvage to selvage, I calculate, I'm a basic. I calculate at 40 inches. You might have 42. So I'm going to tell you to cut maybe 3 strips to get your number of squares or whatever that you need. But if you've got longer fabric, you may not need that third cut. And I've been called out, and people have said, oh, I cut too many strips that I got. But I can't guarantee that your fabric is going to give you that extra piece.
Yeah. And most patterns are published and tell you that they are based on a certain length of the width of fabric, good usable fabric width. And sometimes we'll put in there, I think, when we get to the 40.5 inches is where we start to waffle. And sometimes there'll be a note in that one cut that says you're going to need 40. If you have 40.5 inches, don't cut the extra strip.
So it's right there.
Yeah. So you read what we write. We try and give you as much guidance as we can on why we made the decisions and how we present the facts for fabric yardage. But it's always a big discussion about what do I do, and how much strip sharing. We didn't even talk about that, and that's a big subject. The strip sharing between sections in your pattern. But fabric is getting
leftover piece this big. You can grab that piece and use it down here, and the other piece. And I think the bottom line for me is I would far rather you, the quilter who buys my pattern, have enough fabric to rest assured that you can do it, because we all don't run home and make it. Okay, right. So if you do cutting error in your border and a cutting error in the block numbers, and you're short, and I've only given you one extra strip, we've got a problem. Yeah. So I always like to say, better to have it, not use it, than not have it, because the fabric goes out of publication. It's just not made anymore. Yeah. I've got quilts in my project drawer from 2000. That fabric has far long gone. Yeah. So no mistakes.
And if you're in a shop and you see a pattern that you like, that shop owner should allow you to open up that pattern so that you can read it and you can get the information you need, because it's only like 1 out of every 25 times you make a quilt that you actually get to make it out of the fabric that the quilt picture is in. Like this line comes out and you go make the block of the month and you get the fabric kitted from the shop. You're going to get it in that fabric, but in 5 years, you're not going to. So they should let you open that up. You should be able to read what's going on in there.
Yeah, I am looking for.
And when you go, if you buy a pattern and then you end up going shopping with your girlfriends, make sure you bring the pattern. Don't just bring the little tiny Post-it that has fabric 1, 2 yards, fabric 3. And I could do this, that little map we make of all our little notes. Bring the map, stick it on the front of the pattern, and bring the pattern too. Yeah. Because you might see something in the shop and you're going to wish you had the information in front of you, or you might wish. Anyway, so that's, we wanted to talk a little bit about this whole pattern writing, the yardage.
Well, I did. I phoned you. I phoned you the other day and went, I'm stuck in a rock and a hard place. And, sometimes because I do print my fabric requirements in both meters and yards, that's what those 2 columns are for. So I was at a loss. You go back and forth, and then at some point you just phone a friend.
Yeah, phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
Yeah, we do it a lot. And we have a big circle of friends that we can just get on the phone, text this person, and say, I said, you just need to bounce this off you. And very thankful for that, because sometimes you're just at the end of the day and you're trying to get to a spot where you're comfortable and you're just, I don't know what to decide. I don't know how to make this decision. Yeah. And you just need somebody to talk with to just work it out. So, yeah.
Hold it. It came and went. Nope, it went.
It went. So that was really our technical topic of today, was to talk about fabric yardage and when we're writing patterns and when you're cutting fabric, what you think about. So if you have any more thoughts about that, we had a couple of great thoughts come across about this, where we absolutely need a little extra there, and for that one miscut. And so thank you. And if you think of something, that you want to address.
I did. I had a quilter get a hold of me, and she was quite upset that her pattern had an error in it, and she didn't catch it till she had cut all of her fabric bits. And what does she do now? And I'm just going to put it out there. As pattern designers, I am always, and Lynn is, and I know that we know a lot of pattern designers, and if you come across an error in our pattern, give me an email, pick up the phone, call me, whatever. I always say we're only human. AI does not write my patterns.
It doesn't write mine because I misspell words. AI does not misspell words. AI has perfect grammar.
The other thing is, you pick up that pattern, and I know on my website, I've got a section called pattern corrections. Some of them are very old. The patterns have been corrected, and if you've got a new pattern of mine, it's been corrected. But check for the pattern corrections and go through there and open your pattern up and go, oh, page 2. Oh yeah, it's been corrected in my pattern. So we're very open to you guys. You are you're the last in the proofing. And it does happen as much as we put, everybody, you've got people who are making blocks, people who are making the quilt, people who are reading it for grammar, spelling. We've got math people. It's an endeavor to put it out and feel proud of that finished project. But with that said, there are still errors that slip by. So,
we are forever thankful when anybody comes to us with something that they either don't understand or they think is an error. We are forever grateful.
Yeah. I have Zoomed, video messaged with people just to walk them through, and they went, oh my God, I get it now. And it's not that it's wrong or whatever. It's just sometimes it's
it's a different way you explain it that you can't do when you write. Yeah. And that's what you get when you're in the class with us as well. Yeah. It's that extra reading between the lines kind of thing.
Yeah. And the demo and the show and yeah. So keep that in mind when you pick up those patterns and you look at the fabric requirements. I know for the most part, when I stand in a quilt shop, the quilt shop lady will say, would you like 1 3/4? Oh, just cut me 2.
Right.
So
and someday we'll talk about what do you do with all those leftover 1/8 to 3/8 of a yard that you have from all the quilts you've made over the last 40 years. So that'll be a topic someday.
Oh my goodness.
Or those partial strips from that block of the month.
Oh, at one point I saved all of because I cut my bindings at 2.5 inches, and I had this whack, and I don't have time, and I'm not saving them till I'm 80. It will mold at some point. It's going to mold. So I moved that section on.
Yeah, and it's okay to move things on.
It is okay. Very good to move things on. Donate it and buy new, because our tastes change.
And there's people out there that are very thankful that you're sharing with them.
Yeah.
So it is okay to move stuff on.
I just had a phone call the other day from the shop, one of the shop owners, and Cindy sent me a text, and she goes, I know you made this quilt, and I need 3.5 inches of this red. Please still have some. And I texted her back. I actually put it in the mail because we were leaving, but I texted her back and I go, I got 9 inches. You can have it all.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's
very nice.
That's what we do.
Yep.
It's hot here, Lynn.
Yeah, it's hot here too.
I've gotten rid of the turtleneck. It's not cold anymore up north here.
She finally shed her socks up there in Northern Ontario.
I did. I shed my socks.
So
everybody, happy summer. It's July.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy our summer. I'm going to do a little bit of vacation with the grandkids. The entire family's going and renting a beach house on the coast of Maine so that we can walk out and build our own sandcastle and then walk back for lunch. We don't even have to pack lunch or anything. Don't have to move the cars. We just get to walk out our own little sand. So we'll be going to do that before I head up to Ontario. So that's going to be a nice little piece of summer here in the Northeast. And hopefully you guys are mixing your quilting with some summer activities like beach going or, out in the hammock in the shade reading a book.
Yeah. In Ontario, we're all at the the summer cottages or camps, as they're known up here up north. That's where I did most of my handwork, was sitting on the dock at camp. So I'm going to put in some hours for sure. Well, Lynn, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a wonderful chat.
Absolutely. And
always
fun. Nice to catch up. Great to hear the comments. Let us know what you want to talk about. We'll obviously come up and we'll be doing our live from the by the river, Quilting by the River, live next month. So that'll be fun and interesting. But certainly we'll be looking for the next technical topic. So drop us a line, either, in the chat. Make sure you subscribe. And also, you can find us on Facebook or drop us an email, or on our websites, contact us through our websites. So many different ways you can get us.
Hit that subscribe button, because that's what keeps us on the air.
That's right.
And we'll see you in August.
August 12th. Yep, we'll see you on August 12th. So thanks so much for joining us. Keep that inspiration going. Create some new blocks. Let us know what's going on, and stay inspired and enjoy the sunshine. A little bit of sunshine, a little bit of water, a little bit of breeze, the nice summer flowers. All the yellows and oranges are coming out here, and it's really beautiful. So enjoy that color as well. All right, everybody.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Been fun.
Bye.
Bye.